Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in a few minutes now. My name is Sam Balter. I'm the Field Marketing Manager here at HubSpot, and I'm joined today by Marcus Andrews, who's our Product Marketing Manager. He's done a lot of work on our ads product. Marcus was formerly at Google and has a lot of experience on measuring and optimizing your ad spend. So before we get started and jump into some of the content, I just want to run through a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to do about 20 minutes of a presentation by Marcus, and then we'll open it up to Q&A afterwards. So in order to get through to some of the Q&A, you want to be viewing this on our event page. If you're currently on a HubSpot thank you page and you see the little YouTube box, click through using the link at the bottom to go to the event page. You'll see then you'll be on a Google page and just click in there. And then you'll see a chat pane over on the right side of the screen. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to email sbalter@hubspot.com. You should have received a confirmation email from me earlier, and I'm happy to help you get set up. But other than that, looking forward to hearing some of your questions and hoping that you're going to enjoy the presentation today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Pumped to be here to chat with everybody about ads. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to know, and we're going to cover a lot. So I'm going to dive right in. But if you have any questions related to the content or just any ads questions in general, pop them in that chat pane and we'll try and answer them. We'd love to hear about what kind of challenges you all are facing or what kind of questions you're struggling with. A lot of what we put together today, we try to focus on the big challenges that advertisers face. I think they're, when you distill it down, whether you're just starting with ads or whether you've been doing it for a long time, the advertisers always kind of face these same 5 things. There's a lot of other stuff that can be challenging about ads, but these 5 come up with everybody that I talk to. And so we wanted to cover them off. And with that, I will start sharing my screen, and this presentation is actually already on SlideShare. I forgot to tell you that, Sam. I uploaded this to SlideShare yesterday. So if you go to SlideShare's HubSpot, or the HubSpot page on SlideShare, you can see the deck that I'll be sharing today. All right. So let's dive in. All right. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. So yeah, the theme of today, we're going to talk about the 5 big challenges that kind of every advertiser face. And hopefully this gives you all some, gives you all some insights into advertising. And we'll kind of start from the beginning and get a little bit more sophisticated as we move along. So the first question that everybody asks is really, where do you start? Okay, so let's say you're doing ads for the first time and you're not sure how to get started or where to dive in. You don't want to boil the ocean. You want to make sure you're doing stuff right. So our advice that from what we've seen people be really successful at ads is that they always start with inbound, or they start with their existing marketing campaigns. It's a big mistake that a lot of first-time advertisers make, is to just run an ad campaign in isolation and expect it to do great. If you start with an inbound campaign, or if you start with excellent content and you have that as a foundation for your ads, your ad campaigns will do a lot better. So if you already are an inbound marketer, if you're already a content marketer, you're already running marketing campaigns, look at your funnel and think about where ads can fit in. So this is the inbound marketing funnel that we've got here in this visual, where you're trying to attract people, convert them, close, and delight those customers. So potentially ads could be, if you look at your funnel and you say, okay, we're having a really hard time attracting people to our website or to our content. Maybe we can use ads to solve there. Or you could go further down the funnel and say, we've got great content and it's bringing traffic to our website, but those visitors aren't turning into leads. Maybe there's something that we can do with ads to increase the amount of leads that we're getting from our content, or that are people who are submitting their content information when they get to our website. So really what I would recommend here is that if you don't know where to start with an existing campaign. Look at what great content you have. Think about how you can build off that. Maybe you can use ads to promote content that's working especially well. That's one thing that we've seen work really, really great for customers, is that they're not using ads to promote every piece of content that they create on social media. But when they do have a white paper, a blog post, or something that's very successful at generating leads and is getting a lot of attention, they'll use ads to get more from it, kind of amplify what they're already doing with their inbound marketing. So that is where I would start. Hopefully you all do too. All right. So another really big challenge that we hear from just about everybody is then, all right, so I've decided where to start. I've got my inbound marketing campaign. I know I want to add ads in. I know kind of how I want to, but where should I spend my money? There is a lot of places online to advertise. I think today we're really only talking about digital advertising, but of course there's traditional advertising that a lot of people have looked at in the past and are interested in. But our advice is to really, first of all, advertise where your audience is. That may seem like a no-brainer, but don't look. That should always be your guiding light in terms of where you want to spend your money. A lot of the times, a new ad network will come out with a fancy new shiny ad unit or some kind of cool targeting or something really interesting or some kind of crazy mobile solution. But really what you want to do is you want to spend your money and focus on where your audience already is. Maybe, you've got an audience that's a very specific audience that hangs out just on certain blogs, and that's where they spend their time. You probably want to advertise on them. You want to figure out the best way to advertise on those blogs. What we've found is that really Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, they have a big enough audience and they have good enough targeting solutions that most marketers can find their audience using those partners. You still want to think about targeting and the different targeting options that those audiences offer. LinkedIn is especially good at targeting professionals because of the data that they have. Facebook has some really advanced ad solutions and are really good at targeting people kind of where they're hanging out along with their friends, and they have solutions like similar audiences. They obviously have a huge audience. Twitter's kind of particularly good at targeting people who are on mobile devices or maybe they're watching TV. And then Google, especially with their search ads, are great at trying to find people who are specifically looking for something that you offer. So not necessarily demographic targeting, but targeting people who have an intent to buy or are looking for something specific. So this is really the question to ask yourself when you're trying to decide where do you want to spend your money. Another important thing along these lines is that when you're making this decision, try to make sure that your message is going to be welcomed in this atmosphere. If you're advertising somewhere where people really don't want to see ads, you can probably expect that people are going to be a little bit negative about the ad being there. And so the best ads that I see and the approach that the best advertisers take is that they really try and understand the community really well. And when they're creating an ad, it should be valuable and it should be helpful. It really shouldn't even feel too much like an ad, especially in social. If it's a search ad, it's a little bit more okay to feel more like an ad because people have already said like, hey, I'm interested in this specific thing. Showing them an ad isn't interrupting them. It's actually helping them kind of solve what they're looking for. All right. So if you're just tuning in, we covered how to get started and where should you advertise. And we're cruising along here. So once you've decided, that you want to do ads, you've got buy-in, you've got the time to do it, where you want to advertise. The big next question that you'll have to ask yourself is what ad format should I use? An ad format is just essentially what kind of ad is it? What features does the ad have? What does the ad do? There's more ad formats than there is ad networks. There's a ton of unlimited possibilities here in terms of ad formats. If I had to pick two to tell you to use, I would say native ads and I would say search ads. There's a million options to figure out, but especially if you're a B2B marketer, search and native social ads are two ad formats that are really ideal, that play really well with content marketing and inbound marketing. I'll start with social ads. Native social ads are ads that appear in the newsfeed, in the newsfeed on Facebook, in the stream on Twitter, LinkedIn. Those ads they don't really feel like ads. If you've kind of done your due diligence on targeting and you focused on a specific audience and you're promoting a piece of content, it almost just feels like an organic, natural post to those people. The whole reason why you might use an ad is because you're going to be able to reach an entirely new audience than you can with just your organic, natural reach. So especially social ads are really great if you are, if you've already kind of done a good job of building awareness for, a new product or service or something like that. You can then use ads to reach out to a new audience to help drive awareness for that, or to help drive leads directly for your business from those social ads. Native social ads are really where LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook have all had the best success in terms of where they're investing their development of their ad units. And so you'll see those ad units start to become more sophisticated. You'll see things like one-click lead gen. You'll see better retargeting options and more targeting options like similar audience on Facebook. So these in-stream social ads are getting really sophisticated. They're very cool. You can usually put video and rich media into these. So definitely think about native ads, especially if you have a piece of content that you want to promote. You're promoting a piece of content, think about social ad or social native ads. The next ad format that I really like is search advertising. So search advertising is definitely Google's kind of bread and butter. Everyone starts with a Google search, or at some point when someone's doing research on a new product or service, they're going to come to Google and they're going to pop in either your company name or your industry or the service that you offer, or they're going to ask, they're essentially asking Google a question about your business and your industry and what you provide. And so it gives you an opportunity with a search ad to kind of get in front of them and influence their research process. Usually people, maybe they're reading your blog posts, maybe they're looking at stuff in social, but they're still going to do this Google search to check things out. And if you're able to, if you've done a really good job of using inbound marketing to kind of grow awareness and build demand for your product or service, search ads are a really great way to help convert those people who are searching, maybe they're a little bit further down the funnel, into leads. And so I would really think about that and just kind of focus on those, especially if you're getting started, to focus on those two ad formats. And it seems like, all right, Susan, thanks for the feedback on the video. Seems like we got some people who are using the question and answer pane, so that's awesome. And Evan, it looks okay. All right, hopefully it gets a little bit better, but cool. All right, so the visual that you have here is that Sam mentioned to me that a lot of the people that he works with are always asking about display ads and if display ads are a good solution for their business. Display ads are typically what you see if you're on a blog, or if maybe you're in social. It's those right-hand rail ads that kind of maybe you notice them following you around the internet and those sort of things. That's remarketing, but that's a type of targeting for display. Usually display ads aren't a great place to start for marketers who are new to advertising. They can be useful, but I would really focus on native and search ads. If you're still debating this, we just recently put out a flowchart that can kind of help you make a decision around this that we linked to in the content. So if you're trying to decide whether or not display ads are right for you, we got a new piece of content for you to help make that decision on the HubSpot marketing blog. Okay. All right, so that is what kind of format you should use. All right, so this brings us a little bit further down the whole advertising process. So you've decided you want to do ads, you've decided where you want to spend your money, you've decided what ad format you want to use. Now you've got to decide how much do you want to spend on ads. This one, out of all of most people can kind of figure their way through the other questions, but this one is one that really comes up a lot. And for good reason. It's a really important question, right? And I think the root of the question really is like, how much do I need to spend on ads? Can I spend $100, or do I need to spend $10,000 or something like that? And that's a great question, and it really just depends on your business. And in fact, how much you have to spend doesn't always matter as much as knowing how much you're going to generate for each dollar that you spend on ads. And to help, that's kind of a complicated question, but to help you figure it out, we built a tool called the Ad Spend Calculator. the advertising ROI calculator. So you can access this tool at hubspot.com/ads-calculator, and you can follow up with the link. But what you're able to do with this tool is you're able to test different budgets, right? So maybe you have $200 to spend, maybe you have $4,000 to spend. It doesn't matter. What you want to do is you want to just pop in a number, an estimate, and you really want to run through these different metrics to focus on an ROI and an estimated profit, because it'll tell you how much you're going to get back from your ad spend. So start with a budget, put something in that you think is a good estimate of what you could spend, and then just kind of go down the list of the metrics that it's asking you to fill in. So for CPC, this is how much you expect to pay for a click. Sam had a good question earlier. A lot of people asking about how much, or what are some benchmarks that you can expect to see from ads and search specifically. So inbound marketers are usually paying, or B2B marketers are usually paying somewhere between like $2 and $5 for a click. It can definitely be more than that. This cost per click really depends a lot about how many people are, how competitive the auction is that you're in, and the audience that you're targeting. For non-Google search, for LinkedIn, for example, the more specific and the more valuable the audience that you target, the more you're going to pay for that click. So there's a lot of factors that go in here. The important thing is just to play with some of these numbers. So let's say, all right, maybe we're paying $5 for a click. In this example, that's going to generate $500 for my business. Then keep moving down the list. Target conversion rate, this is all about like how often does a visitor from your website can turn into a lead. Hopefully you can be somewhere around 5% on the high side. I think a lot of people are a little bit closer to maybe 2 or 3%. But whatever is specific to you, this metric can have a huge impact on the profit that you see from ads. You can see just a small increase in a few percentage points in conversion rate can generate a few $1,000s easily. Average sales price, this is pretty specific to your business. Whatever it is, it could be your average sales price could be $800, or this is obviously a big slider with a lot of options. So whatever is specific to your business for this metric, pop it in, and then lead to customer rate. So for every lead that you get, how often do they turn into a customer? So go ahead and fill these out, play with the sliders. And then at the end of the day, once you have your projection, you can say, all right, if I spend $1,000 on ads and I hit all these numbers, I feel pretty good that I'm going to make around $2,600 back from my ads. And these are the metrics that you should look at as you're going through your ad spend. So if you start running your ad campaign and it's been a few weeks and you're starting to get in some good data, and you realize that, I was aiming for a $5 cost per click, but all of a sudden I'm paying $10, maybe that's something you should look at. What's most important is that you're running these numbers once your campaign starts, because if your campaign is, if you're paying $1,000 and only getting $500 back, you have an issue, right? Your ads are costing you money. You want your ads to generate you money. So run these numbers, use the calculator. Ads aren't right for everybody. Ads may not be a good solution for your business. You may have a really, really low sales price, or you may have a really, really high cost per click for your industry. And ads might not be good for you, but you can use this calculator to run the numbers and get an idea if it is pretty quickly. Okay. All right. That was 4. Moving on to 5, the last one, folks. All right, so how much time will this take? This along with how much should I spend and how much time will this take are probably the two toughest questions that I get the most often. And ads will take time. I think my message to everybody is that don't look at ads like it's a shortcut or like a set it and forget it kind of easy way out. This is a good way to drive traffic to my site without having to create content and without having to do a ton of work. It can be a time saver, and it can be a little bit of a shortcut. But if you don't spend the time on it up front, and if you don't give it the maintenance that it needs, it's not going to be. It's just going to be something that costs you money. If you make a mistake with ads, the big thing is that you can lose money on it. So you want to be really careful. You want to put in the time that it needs. Especially during setup. You want to spend a lot of time focusing on targeting your ads, making sure that you're targeting the right persona. You want to make sure that ads are great because you can get a lot of data really quickly and you can test things. So you can test a target. You can say, I want to run ads at people over 40 in Washington, D.C. And you can see how valuable that audience is to you. Maybe it's valuable, maybe it's not. And then you can try something else out. But you really want to test. You always want to be testing with ads. You always want to take the time to find the right audience and set the right bid. And once you've done that, once you've gotten a rhythm and you've worked through a lot of the initial setup and some of maybe a little bit of initial pain around figuring out how to optimize your ads and getting them right, it can be something that you can kind of leave up and it can continue to generate you profit. The second part of how much time will this take, and the answer is a few hours a week. I think once spend the time on setup, that is definitely going to take you potentially a few days or maybe even a week to focus on it, focus on the setup, and then just come back and check it a few hours every week. It doesn't necessarily need to be more than that once you get into a rhythm. HubSpot now has the ads add-on. And so this is an add-on inside of HubSpot. And what we've done is we've integrated with LinkedIn and Google. And we're also looking at other networks that everybody uses for ads. And we've created a closed funnel loop of the data between HubSpot and between the ad networks. And so you can see that we're pulling in clicks and impressions from the ad networks and then conversions and customers from HubSpot. And so what we can do is we can tell you immediately how profitable, how many leads, who are those leads, what kind of leads are they, you're generating from ads, and then how often those leads turn into customers, how much that customer is costing you in terms of ads, how much each conversion is costing you. And so this takes a lot of the setup and grunt work and math that you have to do, that you would have to do around optimization normally. So hopefully this is saving people a ton of time with optimization and helping them get more out of their ads a lot quicker. All right, so that is it. I think it is time for questions. All right.
Great. It looks like we already got some questions from the audience. Just a note, Tate, we can definitely all follow up with all the links for the ad calculator, the blog post on choosing between display or search ads. I just want to kick this off with one question that I had, or at least I have some experience building ad campaigns before, but really struggled starting. Even though I'm with a pretty simple like headline, little bit of copy, link. When I first started creating ads, I had no strategy. So I'm wondering, what is sort of the first thing before you start out with your ad strategy? What do you need to be thinking about? What do you need to do?
Yeah, I mean, a good way to get your feet wet and to test something out is social ads. So you can take, there's self-serve social ads for LinkedIn and for Facebook. So you can take a few $100s and you can sponsor a piece of content. So let's say you've got a white paper or a blog post that you wrote that you want to get out to more people, and you have an extra $200 or $300, either $100 or $50 a day or whatever it is. You can take that small amount of money and put it behind sponsor a post in LinkedIn, and it'll bring it out to more people. So that's kind of like that's like an easy way to get into it and start to see what ads are like and to test something out. The big thing with social ads is really targeting, because there's a million different targeting options. And so you want to like get really focused with targeting and think about that. With search ads, the reason why I think it's more complicated than some other ad types is because you got to have a keyword strategy, right? So really the best place to start is actually the AdWords support page. They have a ton of really simple videos about getting started with AdWords that are great and will help you build out your keyword strategy, which there is a lot of places to go wrong and it can be really confusing. And a lot of what we've done with the ads tool is tried to make all of this simpler. AdWords, I think when people log into AdWords, they're like, holy hell, this is a massive thing, right? Like, I'm confused. When we built our tool, we're trying to just make it like easier to get started, easier to understand what's happening, just a little bit simpler, but have all the features that you do in something like AdWords.
Along the same lines of, you start out, maybe you're overwhelmed. Like, what are some of the common mistakes that are really simple fixes that people do and just the mistakes you see and you're like, it would only take a little change to make this so much better?
Yeah, there's a few things. One of the big things is that people don't use landing pages for their ads, right? So they'll run an ad, and the ad will drive to their homepage. This is a terrible mistake, mainly because if you're running search ads, it's a simple thing to get wrong. I understand why people do it. It's they want to drive traffic to your site. Your site's optimized. You have a lot of information that you want to get people to. But mainly, if you have if you're looking at a search ad, someone is searching for something specific. Maybe they're searching for best garage door openers, and they're searching from the Boston area. So if you have an ad that triggers when they put in that garage door search, and you drive them to your homepage, and you offer garage doors, you also offer, it's a bad example, other types of garages or other things related to that, they're going to see all those things. And if you use a specific landing page that's related to the ad, you can drive them to something that's very specific to their search. I've seen people build landing pages that are specific to different locations, build landing pages that are very specific to like an actual audience. So you don't need to necessarily build a ton of different landing pages, but if you do have 5 ads or 5 different ad groups, you probably want a landing page for each of those. So that's one that I see a lot.
We just got a question in from Evan that seems like a follow-up. Would you say the social ad should also lead to a landing page as well?
Totally. Great question, Evan. Yeah, absolutely. I think that you definitely want social ads driving to landing pages too. If you're using a social ad to promote a piece of content like a white paper, or let's say that similar example, you offer a service or you build something and you have a piece of content that's helpful information about, like if you're a marketing agency, for example, and you want to you're offering a white paper about how someone can help grow their audience. You want to have that white paper probably lead to a landing page that's a very simple form that's also promoting the white paper, and so it just makes it really easy to capture that lead. I think a lot of people are using social ads for more awareness type of ads, which can be great. It's a really easy way to promote a new piece of content. But when I use ads, I want to try and be conscious of how much money I'm spending. And so if I'm spending on ads, I want to try and make sure that I use them for lower in the funnel. I want to try and drive leads with that spend. And so I'm driving specifically from, I'm targeting a valuable audience that I know this offer is going to be relevant to. I'm using social to promote it, and then I'm driving them to a landing page where I'm just trying to capture their lead. Facebook has some fun ad solutions around this where they have lead ads, so that you can capture the lead kind of inside the ad unit. So that's how I think about that.
Nice. It looks like Matthew has a question, and it involves ad sets.
Right.
And so before we jump into like the HubSpot specific tool and ad sets, I just have one sort of broad question on how do you think about ad sets in terms of how you're going to organize them? Should you be organizing ad sets around personas, or should they be organized around offers, or should they be organized around certain keywords? Could you talk a little bit about, when you're thinking about an ad set, what that means, what's kind of best practices and best way to stay organized?
Yes. So typically, I think what you're referring to an ad set is like ad group is the official, this is what Google calls it. But it goes campaign, ad group, and then your keywords. And so basically what you can have, and so inside of your account, you can have multiple campaigns. Inside of each campaign, you can have multiple ad groups. Inside of ad groups, you have all of your different keywords. And so how I think about it is that you probably at the campaign level, you want to have very different things that you offer. Usually the simplest way to do it, the best way to do it is to organize it around your services or offerings. Mm-hmm. So for HubSpot, we have a campaign, we may have a campaign that's around our software. We may have a separate campaign that's around the conference that we run in November for inbound. So you want to kind of like separate those big things that you have different. If you're a marketing agency, for example, maybe you have your SEO services and your content services broken out by that. And then in ad groups, you can look so inside of your ad groups are also, you can have multiple ads inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
So inside of the ad group, you can then focus those more around like a specific campaign or a specific service offering or something like that. And so then you have the different keywords that'll trigger it. And so you'd want to think about the keywords that make sense as part of that campaign. So if you have a campaign around, how do you get the most out of advertising? You want to think about the different keywords that you can trigger that search and bring up those ads that's inside of those ad groups. You have a completely different campaign, but it's for the same service. You probably want to break that out into a different ad group.
So start at the offering product level, like if you sell services versus a consumer product, and then within that group, go in and say, this is going to go after more of this specific keyword or this specific sort of action that you're trying to target. Is that?
Yeah,
cool?
I think that's a good way to think about it. Just definitely try and keep it simple. I think one of the things that I see a lot of people do who are getting set up with AdWords with, especially, they think about, it's a similar concept to SEO, where I don't even know if it still works anymore. It probably doesn't, but people used to like keyword stuff pages, right? So they try and put as many keywords as they can on a website to like trigger all the searches for it. People try to do the same thing with ads. So it's like, I want to put as many keywords as I can to trigger all these different searches. And it's just usually not how it works. Like, you want to keep your keywords really simple. You want to keep your ad groups clean. You don't want to, you want to create different ad groups and different campaigns, separate them out when it makes sense. So you just try and keep everything organized, try and keep everything simple.
Do you not want to do the like keyword stuffing into ads because it's low conversion rate, so it's kind of a waste of money, or is it just cluttering up the data, or both?
It's definitely cluttering up the data, and usually you'll have a lot of keywords that aren't relevant. So you'll put all these keywords in there, and 80% of them won't be triggering any searches or won't be valuable anymore. And also, like, you want to keep everything. So what Google does is it looks to say, all right, what did this person search for? And then it looks at the ad and it says, okay, is this ad relevant to this search? And then it'll also look at the landing page and it'll say, is this landing page relevant to the ad? Is it relevant to the search? So you want to have like a very straightforward, you want to be very straightforward and focused about the keywords that you're targeting. Then you also want your ad copy to relate to those keywords. So if you have a whole bunch of extra nonsense keywords in there, none of those keywords, all those keywords are gonna have a low quality score. Because you want your keywords to relate to your ad, and then you also want your landing page to be related to all those too. So you think about it from like a user first perspective. If I'm searching for accounting software, I want to, first of all, I'm not going to click on an ad for something unrelated, but I'm looking for an ad that is related to my search for accounting software. And when I click on that ad, I want to be taken to a landing page that's also related to my search. I don't want to be taken to a landing page that's for something else completely different. And that's what Google looks at when they rank you on quality score and they rank your ads and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the best way to. That's why you should keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we do a lot of events for things like Grow with HubSpot, and a lot of people, one of the things I try and stress is just don't get too creative. Whatever your landing page says, probably it's best to make your ad say the same thing, and your ebook should probably be the title of your landing page. Yes. Just use exactly the same copy and it'll generally be more productive.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to Matt's question here. About are HubSpot users able to see AdWord campaigns, ad sets, and even KW level data as an original source when drilling down to lead conversions?
Yeah, definitely. So let me just show you in the tool really quickly. So what we are able to do inside of the ads tool is I only showed you this main dashboard, which will show you all of what we tried to make it easy to do too is that we don't want to make you click into AdWords or click into LinkedIn or click into Facebook to see all the results for your ads. So we try to put it all in one dashboard and give you like a macro level view of all your results in one page. Make it just easy, simpler, right? And then what we can also do is that we can click into individual paid campaigns, and you can look at one campaign and you can see This is a very simple campaign, but it's got a conversion, so that's exciting. I think these are campaigns run by our engineers as a test, which is fun because they're not marketers, but they can get kind of creative. What you can see here is that this is a single campaign. You can see the different ad groups. There's only one ad group in this campaign, but if there's multiple ad groups, you would see the multiple. And then you can see all the different keywords. It seems like in this example, they shut off a few keywords because they weren't performing very highly. All of these keywords have a pretty good quality score. 5 isn't great. They may want to look at that and optimize it. But then you can also see the average position, the cost per click that you're getting, and you can see down to how many conversions and customers the campaign is, the whole campaign is generating. But then you can also see which keywords triggered which conversions. So I can see, okay, this one keyword triggered this one conversion. And I can actually click on the keyword and click through to that person's contact record so I can see who exactly they are. Is it a valuable conversion? Do I want to have my sales team call them? So I think that hopefully answers your question there, Matt.
Great. One of the things I just want to talk through is kind of when you think about ads, we focus heavily on converting towards getting to the page. Do you see them as kind of more of a top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel kind of interaction? Is it best to drive ads for something that's just people becoming familiar and engaging with your brand for the first time, or something that's a little more bottom of the funnel, a little more sales related, kind of a contact sales type of ad?
Yeah, I think for most people, where they're thinking about their budget, I think maybe if you're a massive company and you have these huge budgets and you can spend a lot of money on awareness without having to see results, I think most of us and most of you probably have a boss you got to report your results to and make sure that you're using your budget in a smart way. I would just stick to inbound marketing for more of the awareness type activity. Use your content marketing chops to drive awareness for your product to really get people there over time, work on your SEO, work on your content strategy, use that to drive awareness for your product, and then use ads more strategically as kind of part of a larger campaign to help drive leads. So like if you're creating a lot of content and you see that every time I post this one white paper to social, it drives at least a few leads for me. Whereas, some other ones aren't driving any. Like maybe that's a good candidate to promote. So you've got this remarkable piece of content that's driving a lot of leads. It's high performing. Promote it to a new audience in social, put some ads behind it, and drive it just right to a landing page with a form and just see how it does.
Nice. One of the things that I always kind of struggle with SEO is there's always this fear that Google will change its algorithm, that something is going to change with Google, and then all of a sudden everything that you built and your whole strategy beforehand will be thrown off and ruined.
Right.
It's a really frightening part of SEO. Yeah. Do we have similar things with ads? Has there been significant changes, or do Google's algorithm changes ever affect how ads work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I do sometimes get questions from people who are, they're concerned that if I advertise, will I do better in organic search? Or they think maybe Google's trying to put some kind of connection there between the two. And from working there, there's a pretty sharp separation between church and state in terms of ads and organic. And they're pretty closely watched by all the different government agencies and that sort of thing. So I don't think there's too much funny business going on in terms of how if all connection between search and social. Search and ads, organic search and paid search. I mean, they are similar in a lot of ways. They take up the same real estate, and Google's constantly making changes. They're constantly tweaking with it. A lot of what is in paid media is a black box, just as much as search. You don't necessarily know their algorithm or know how they come up with quality score. They're pretty straightforward about the elements that go into quality score, that go into how they rank search ads and how they charge. All that's pretty widely available, and I don't think will readily change. But the main thing is that they do really focus on having a good user experience for their users. So they want to make sure that if someone's doing a search, the ad is helpful. And so a lot of the changes that they make don't actually benefit them in terms of budget. It actually makes the search a little bit better for the user, which makes sense for them because the more people that use search, the more ads they can show. So the better their search product, the more money they make as well. So that's, I think, a good way to think about it.
So yeah, I like that because then it's really like, I guess the thing is you think you should incentivize your advertisers because they're the ones paying you money. But at the end of the day, if you do that too much, if you did that at all, you would be ruining the search, which then you lose the views that the advertisers really need.
Right. Yeah. And they have to. They definitely put their they gotta have the inventory, otherwise no one's gonna advertise there. And so they're constantly trying to figure out new ways to get more people to use Google search, which has been interesting, especially in mobile. Like in mobile, people don't use Google search as much as they do in desktop, and so it's an interesting problem for them. But yeah.
Cool. Looks like we have a follow-up question on the tool from Matt. Does the ad tool import AdWords auto-tagged G-Click campaigns with all of this data?
Which question is it?
This first one at the top there.
Import AdWords auto-tagged. Oh. GCID campaigns with all of this data. Yes. So I think so. We have our own system of bringing in the information. I think a lot of what you're asking is on. We have a KCS article around how exactly we're tagging the campaigns. But basically, the connection is through OAuth with AdWords, and so you give authorization for HubSpot to access AdWords. And so we're really just every change that you make inside of the ads tool is made inside of AdWords. If you were to make a change inside of AdWords, it would be reflected inside of HubSpot. And so we are putting we are automatically putting in tracking and a template on your AdWords campaigns, and we do that so that we can automatically track conversions and have that data come in. Yeah, I can share the article that we have around that.
Yeah, we'll send that along in the follow-up as well.
Cool.
Sweet. So we're coming to the end of the presentation. If anybody has any other questions they want to ask, I would say get them in now. But one of the things I just wanted to say is we've talked about some of the basic ways you can get a little bit more out of your ad budget using landing pages, not sort of going crazy with keyword stuffing and getting really tailored. What are sort of the more advanced tactics that people should be working towards?
Yeah, so that is a great question. I think that there's really a lot that you can get from optimization. And so once you figured out how to launch your campaigns and get them up there and figured out all the details around running a campaign for the first time, go in, and if you're using HubSpot or if you're looking at your ad campaigns, go in and look to see which keywords, which ad groups are driving conversions, how much you're paying for conversions, and then you want to basically, all optimization is just doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. And you want to look to see what's working, and you want to do more of it. You want to increase the bids on those campaigns. You want to try and figure out a way to optimize, get even more out of those keywords. If you have keywords that aren't driving any conversions, have a low quality score, you want to turn those off. If you have different ad groups and different campaigns and they're all driving, one is more profitable than the other, you want to invest more in the ones that are working and the ones that aren't. And that can be taken to, a pretty extreme level. So there's a never-ending amount of optimization that you can do. Another interesting thing that I really like from AdWords is a lot of their automated bidding strategies. I think people are a little bit hesitant around automated bidding because they want to be in control of the bids that they place on AdWords.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, I understand it. But Google does have some very smart engineers who are using machine learning and computer science to come up with a lot of these automated bidding strategies. And so if you have a formula that you worked out that you've got a good conversion cost, you can tell Google to say, I want more conversions at this cost, and they'll just go out and get it, and they'll optimize your campaigns for you.
Like the content, copy, all those kind of bits of it?
It's mainly optimizing your bids, and so if they notice that you're getting slightly more conversions from one area versus another, they'll turn up the bids on that. Or they notice that you're getting slightly more conversions from desktop than mobile, they'll turn up the bids on that. And so there's a ton of these little bid adjustments that you can make.
Like certain regions or something along those lines?
Yeah, certain regions, so there's a lot of different settings on all this stuff. And like for me, a lot of the time I don't want to come in and like tweak everything. I don't want to necessarily come in and make all these changes all the time. So if you get to a point where you have a good process, you can turn on some of these automated bidding strategies and they basically use machine learning and artificial intelligence and that sort of thing to like make a lot of these decisions for you. And they can work really well. So I think that's kind of a pretty cool advanced use case to save time and get more out of your campaigns.
So kind of start out, just get some ad units out there, just create a few, and then once you have a bulk and you have basic math down of what does a conversion cost for me, what does a lead cost, go back and sort of let Google's algorithm start adjusting a little bit.
You can, yeah. Make sure I would probably, create things, make sure you're getting in a good amount of data, understand it, and then just do it yourself, optimize yourself, see where it gets you. And if you've got a good process, just try some of those things. Try some of the automated bidding strategies. Maybe try display or try remarketing. You always want to be experimenting with this stuff, and there's a never-ending amount of options that you have. So you want to try and keep kind of just getting better as you go along.
Nice. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. If you have any follow-up questions for Marcus or myself, just feel free to email either of us, reply to the follow-up email that's going to come with all of the ads calculator, blog post, all the relevant content. And thank you so much for joining. And thanks, Marcus, for taking the time.
Awesome. It was really fun. Thank you, Sam.
All right, cool.
Bye, everyone.